The church looked beautiful on Sarah and Michael's wedding day. White flowers filled the room, and soft music played as guests took their seats. The sun shone through the colored glass windows, making rainbow patterns on the floor. Everyone was smiling and talking quietly as they waited for the ceremony to start. Sarah stood in a small room at the back of the church. Her white dress fit her perfectly. Her three best friends helped fix her hair and veil. They told her how pretty she looked, but Sarah could not stop thinking about something else. "Are you okay?" asked her friend Jen. "You look worried." "I'm fine," Sarah said, trying to smile. "Just wedding day nerves." But the truth was something much bigger. Sarah looked at her phone one more time. There were 3 missed calls from a number she did not know. She turned off the phone and put it in her bag. Today was supposed to be the happiest day of her life. She had waited 5 years to marry Michael. He was kind, smart, and loved her very much. Sarah tried to push away the bad thoughts. She tried to focus on the good things. In another room, Michael fixed his tie. His brother Tom stood next to him, making jokes to help him relax. "In 1 hour, you'll be a married man," Tom said, patting Michael's back. "No more freedom." Michael laughed. "I can't wait. Sarah is the best thing that ever happened to me." Michael thought about how they met at a friend's party. Sarah was quiet, but had a nice smile. They talked all night about books and movies. Then they went on dates for 5 years. Now, they were finally getting married. Michael had never been so sure about anything in his life. The church was now full. Michael's family sat on the right side. They were a big, loud family who liked to laugh. Sarah's side was smaller. Her parents sat in the front row, holding hands. Some of her friends from work and college filled a few more rows. There was a big space in the back of Sarah's side. It looked empty compared to Michael's full side. One of the guests noticed a small boy standing near the church door. He wore a black suit that was too big for him. His hair was messy, and he kept looking around like he was lost. The guest thought he must be a cousin or someone's child, so they did not say anything. The music changed, and everyone stood up. The big doors at the back of the church opened. First came the bridesmaids in light blue dresses. They walked slowly down the aisle, holding small flower bouquets. Then the music got louder, and Sarah appeared with her father. She looked beautiful in her white dress. Her father held her arm tight as they began to walk. Sarah's eyes found Michael at the front of the church. He was smiling at her with so much love. For a moment, Sarah forgot all her worries. This was the man she wanted to spend her life with. As Sarah walked, she saw all the happy faces of their friends and family. She saw Michael's mother wiping away happy tears. She saw her own parents looking proud. This was what she had dreamed about for so long. Sarah and her father reached the front of the church. Her father kissed her cheek and placed her hand in Michael's. The touch of Michael's warm hand made Sarah feel safe. The priest smiled at them and began to speak. "Dear friends and family, we are here today to join Sarah Williams and Michael Carter in marriage." The priest's words echoed in the quiet church. Sarah and Michael stood facing each other. Michael could not stop smiling, but Sarah's smile was not reaching her eyes. Deep inside, she was scared. She had a secret, and she knew that today might be the day everyone found out. The priest continued with the ceremony. He talked about love and promises and staying together forever. Michael squeezed Sarah's hands, and she tried to focus on him instead of the secret that was eating her up inside. Then the priest said the words Sarah had been dreading. "If anyone knows why these two should not be married, speak now or forever hold your peace." The church went very quiet. No one made a sound. Sarah held her breath, hoping, praying that nothing would happen. For a moment, it seemed like everything would be okay. But then, there was a loud noise at the back of the church. The back doors of the church flew open with a loud bang. Everyone turned to look. A small boy stood there, breathing hard like he had been running. He wore a black suit that was too big for him. His tie was crooked, and his hair was messy. He looked about 10 years old. "Stop!" the boy shouted. His voice echoed through the church. "You can't marry him." The guests started whispering to each other. Who was this boy? What was happening? The priest stopped talking and looked confused. Michael's family turned in their seats, eyes wide with surprise. Sarah's face went white. She looked like she might fall down. Michael held her arm to keep her steady. He did not know the boy, but he could tell that Sarah did. The way her body shook told him something was very wrong. "Young man," the priest said in a gentle voice, "this is a private ceremony. If you have something to say, perhaps we can talk after." "No," the boy said, walking down the aisle with quick steps. "It has to be now." His eyes were locked on Sarah. They were dark brown eyes, just like hers. "Tell them, Aunt Sarah. Tell them who I am." The word aunt made everyone gasp. Michael looked at Sarah with surprise and hurt in his eyes. He had met Sarah's family many times. She never mentioned having a nephew. "Jamie," Sarah said in a whisper. Her voice shook. "Please, not like this." The boy, Jamie, kept walking until he reached the front of the church. He stood in front of Sarah and Michael, his small hands balled into fists at his sides. Tears filled his eyes. "You promised my mom," he said to Sarah. "You promised you would take care of me after she died. You said I could live with you, but then you stopped calling. You stopped visiting. Are you trying to forget about me?" Sarah dropped Michael's hand and knelt down in front of Jamie. Her white dress spread out around her on the church floor. Tears ran down her face, ruining her makeup. She did not care. "Jamie, I would never forget about you," she said. "Never. I love you. I just needed some time to figure things out." Michael stepped forward. His face showed he was confused and hurt. "Sarah, what is going on? Who is this boy? You never told me you had a sister or a nephew." The church was so quiet now that everyone could hear a clock ticking somewhere. All eyes were on Sarah, Jamie, and Michael. The three stood in a triangle of tension at the front of the church. Sarah stood up slowly, still holding Jamie's hand. She looked at Michael with fear in her eyes. She had never seen him angry before, but she was afraid he would be angry now. "Michael, I'm sorry. I should have told you everything," she said. "This is Jamie. He's my nephew. His mother, Lisa, was my older sister." Michael's eyes got even wider. "Was? And why have I never heard about her before today?" Sarah took a deep breath. "Lisa and we had problems. We stopped talking years ago. I hadn't seen her in 8 years until—" She stopped, her voice breaking. "Until she got sick," Jamie said, his voice small but clear. "Mom had cancer. The doctor said she couldn't get better. She called Aunt Sarah, and Aunt Sarah came to see us. They cried a lot and said sorry to each other." Sarah nodded, more tears falling. "Lisa died 3 months ago. Before she died, I promised her I would take care of Jamie." The guests were all listening closely now. Some of the women were crying quietly. Sarah's parents looked down at their hands, their faces sad and ashamed. Michael ran his hand through his hair, trying to understand. "So you have a sister who died, and a nephew who needs a home, and you didn't tell me any of this. We're getting married, Sarah. We're supposed to share everything." "I know," Sarah said. "I was going to tell you after the wedding. I was scared. I didn't know how to tell you that suddenly we would have a child. It's a big change to our plans." Jamie looked up at Michael with worried eyes. "Are you mad? Do you not want me to live with you?" Michael looked at the boy's face. He could see the fear there, the worry that he was not wanted. Behind that fear was a deeper pain, the pain of losing his mother. The church was still silent, everyone waiting to see what would happen next. Would the wedding continue? Or was this secret too big to overcome? The priest stepped forward. He had seen many strange things at weddings before, but nothing like this. He could see that everyone needed some time to talk. "Perhaps," he said gently, "the 3 of you should go to my office to talk in private. We can ask our guests to wait for a short time." Michael nodded, still looking shocked. Sarah wiped tears from her face. Jamie stood close to Sarah, holding her hand tight. The three of them followed the priest to a small room at the side of the church. In the main church, the guests began to whisper to each other. Sarah's mother cried quietly into a tissue. Her father looked down at his shoes, his face red with shame. They had known about Lisa and Jamie, but had agreed with Sarah to keep it quiet until after the wedding. In the priest's office, Michael sat in a chair facing Sarah and Jamie. The room was small, with a desk and a few chairs. Pictures of Jesus hung on the walls. A cross stood on the desk next to a stack of Bibles. "Start from the beginning," Michael said. His voice was not angry, but it was firm. "Tell me everything." Sarah took a deep breath. She still held Jamie's hand, and she squeezed it for strength. "Lisa was my big sister," she said. "She was 4 years older than me. When we were young, we were close. But when I went to college, things changed. Lisa started hanging out with bad people. She began using drugs." Jamie looked down at his feet. He knew this part of the story. His mother had told him before she died. "Our parents tried to help Lisa, but she wouldn't listen." Sarah continued. "She dropped out of school. She got into more trouble. When she got pregnant with Jamie, she was only 20. The father left as soon as he found out." Michael's eyes moved to Jamie. The boy stood very still, trying to be brave. "My parents helped Lisa for a while," Sarah said. "They gave her money for a small apartment. They helped her buy things for the baby. Lisa tried to be better for Jamie. She stopped using drugs. She got a job at a store." Sarah paused, remembering the past. "But when Jamie was about 3, Lisa and I had a huge fight. She was dating a new man, and I thought he was bad news. I told her she was making the same mistakes again. We said terrible things to each other. After that, we didn't talk for years." Jamie spoke up. "Mom always had your picture on our wall," he told Sarah. "She missed you. She talked about you sometimes." Sarah smiled sadly at Jamie and touched his cheek. "I missed her too. I was just too proud to call first." She turned back to Michael. 3 months ago, my mom called me. She said Lisa was in the hospital. The doctors found cancer in her lungs. It was very bad, and they said she didn't have much time left." Sarah's voice broke, and she had to stop for a moment. Jamie leaned against her side. Michael's face had softened a little, but he still looked hurt. "I went to see Lisa right away," Sarah said. "She was so thin, so weak. But when she saw me, she smiled. We both said sorry for all the bad things. We cried and hugged. I stayed with her and Jamie at the hospital, as much as I could. One night, Lisa asked to talk to me alone," Sarah continued. "She asked me to take care of Jamie after she was gone. She didn't want our parents to take him because they are too old now. She said Jamie needed someone young who could play with him and help him grow up right." Jamie spoke again. "Mom said Aunt Sarah was good and kind. She said you would love me." He looked at Michael. "She didn't know about you, though." Sarah nodded. "I promised Lisa I would take care of Jamie. I told her not to worry. A week later, she died with all of us around her bed." Michael was quiet for a long time. He looked at Sarah, then at Jamie. The boy looked scared, like he thought Michael might send him away. "Why didn't you tell me all this?" Michael finally asked. "Did you think I wouldn't understand? Did you think I wouldn't want Jamie?" Sarah wiped away more tears. "I was afraid," she admitted. "We talked about having children someday, but not right away. I didn't know how to tell you that suddenly we would have a 10-year-old boy. I thought maybe you would want to cancel the wedding." Michael shook his head. He stood up and walked to the window. Outside, the sun was still shining. Birds flew past. The world went on, even when everything felt like it was falling apart. Michael turned from the window and looked at Jamie. The boy stood close to Sarah, half hiding behind her white dress. Michael had never thought much about being a father. He and Sarah had talked about having kids someday, but that seemed far in the future. Now, there was this boy who needed a home right away. "Jamie," Michael said, his voice softer now. "Can I talk to you for a minute?" Jamie looked up at Sarah. She nodded, giving his hand a gentle squeeze before letting go. Jamie walked over to Michael, his steps slow and careful. "How old are you, Jamie?" Michael asked. 10, Jamie said. "I'll be 11 in 2 months." Michael nodded. "And where have you been staying since your mom died?" "With Mrs. Patel," Jamie said. "She lives next door to our apartment. She's nice, but she has cats, and I can't breathe good around cats. And she's old. She goes to bed at 8 o'clock every night." Michael smiled a little at that. That is pretty early. He looked more closely at Jamie. The boy had the same dark eyes as Sarah, the same shape of face. He was thin and looked tired. His clothes were clean but old. "Did your Aunt Sarah visit you at Mrs. Patel's?" Jamie nodded. "She came 3 times. She brought me a new backpack for school and some books. She said she was fixing up a room for me in her house." Michael looked at Sarah with surprise. "You were fixing up a room?" Sarah nodded. "In the spare bedroom of our new house. I bought paint and a bed. I was going to show you after the wedding. I thought it would be easier if everything was ready." Michael ran his hand through his hair. "Sarah, we're about to be married. We're supposed to make these decisions together." The priest, who had been sitting quietly at his desk, cleared his throat. "Perhaps I can offer some perspective," he said. "Marriage is about more than just love. It's about trust and honesty. It's about facing life's challenges together, not alone." Sarah looked down at her hands. "I know I should have told you everything. I was just so scared of losing you." Michael walked back to his chair and sat down. He looked tired suddenly. "I love you, Sarah. That hasn't changed. But I'm hurt that you kept something this big from me. You should have trusted me more." Jamie spoke up, his voice small. "Are you going to send me away?" "It's okay if you want to. I can stay with Mrs. Patel until they find somewhere else." Michael looked at the boy, seeing the fear in his eyes. This child had already lost his mother. Now he was afraid of losing the only other person who cared about him. "No, Jamie," Michael said firmly. "Nobody is sending you away." Sarah's head shot up, hope in her eyes. "Michael?" Michael took a deep breath. He thought about his own childhood, growing up with loving parents and 3 siblings. His house had always been noisy and full of life. He had never known real sadness or loss like Jamie had. "This isn't how I pictured starting our marriage," Michael said. "But life doesn't always go as planned." He looked at Jamie. "Your aunt made a promise to your mom. And now I'm making a promise to you. You will have a home with us." Tears filled Jamie's eyes. He tried to blink them away, wanting to be brave, but they spilled down his cheeks anyway. "Really? You mean it?" Michael nodded. "Really. But from now on, no more secrets in this family. We talk about things, even when they're hard." Sarah stood up, her wedding dress rustling. "I promise, Michael. No more secrets." The priest smiled at the 3 of them. "It seems to me that you've already begun the most important part of marriage, working through problems together." Michael stood and walked to Sarah. He took her hands in his. "I still want to marry you today. If you still want to marry me." "More than anything," Sarah whispered. Jamie watched them, wiping his tears away with the back of his hand. "Does this mean the wedding isn't ruined?" "Mrs. Patel said I would ruin everything if I went to the church." Michael laughed, the tension breaking. "The wedding isn't ruined. It's just a little different than we planned." He held out his hand to Jamie. "What do you say we go back out there and finish this ceremony? All 3 of us." Jamie took Michael's hand. Sarah took Jamie's other hand. Together, they formed a small circle in the priest's office. "All 3 of us," Sarah repeated, smiling through her tears. The priest stood up from his desk. "I think the guests have waited long enough. Shall we return to the ceremony?" When Sarah, Michael, and Jamie walked back into the church, everyone stared. The guests had been waiting for almost 30 minutes. Some looked worried, others curious. Sarah's mother sat up straight when she saw them, hope in her eyes. Michael walked to the front of the church. He cleared his throat and spoke in a clear voice that everyone could hear. "Thank you all for your patience," he said. "As you can see, we had a surprise today." He smiled at Jamie, who stood beside Sarah, still holding her hand. "This is Jamie. He is Sarah's nephew. His mother, Sarah's sister Lisa, died 3 months ago. Jamie will be living with us after today." A soft murmur went through the crowd. Michael's mother wiped away a tear. His father nodded, a proud look on his face. "Some of you might wonder if we are still getting married today," Michael continued. "The answer is yes. Sarah and I love each other. Nothing has changed that. In fact, our family is just starting a little sooner than we planned." Sarah smiled at Michael, her heart full of love and thanks. She had been so afraid he would walk away when he learned her secret. Instead, he had shown her what real love meant, accepting all of her, even the complicated parts. The priest moved back to his place at the front of the church. "Shall we continue the ceremony?" he asked. Michael and Sarah took their places in front of him. But before the priest could speak, Jamie tugged on Sarah's dress. "Where should I stand?" he asked in a small voice that carried in the quiet church. The guests laughed softly, the tension breaking. Michael reached out his hand. "Right here with us," he said. Jamie moved between Sarah and Michael. The priest smiled and began again with the ceremony. As he spoke about love and family, the words seemed to have new meaning now. This was not just about a man and woman joining their lives. It was about making a family with all its surprises and challenges. When it was time for the vows, Sarah went first. She looked into Michael's eyes as she spoke. "Michael, I promise to love you and be honest with you for all our days. I promise to face life's surprises with you, hand in hand." She looked down at Jamie. "I promise to build a home filled with love and trust, where all of us can grow together." Michael squeezed her hands. When it was his turn, his voice was strong and sure. "Sarah, I promise to love you through good times and bad. I promise to listen when you are afraid and stand by you when you are brave." He smiled at Jamie. "I promise to be not just a good husband, but a good father too. Our home will always be a place of safety and love for all of us." Jamie watched with big eyes as they exchanged rings. When the priest said Michael could kiss the bride, Jamie made a face that made everyone laugh again. The church filled with the sound of clapping as Sarah and Michael shared their first kiss as husband and wife. As they walked back down the aisle, Sarah and Michael each held one of Jamie's hands, swinging him a little between them. The boy was smiling now, the fear gone from his face. Outside the church, rice and flower petals rained down on them. Friends and family cheered. At the reception, things were a bit different than planned. The head table now had 3 chairs instead of 2. Jamie sat between Sarah and Michael, his legs swinging because they didn't reach the floor. He wore a small flower on his suit jacket that matched Michael's. Sarah's parents came to the table. Her mother hugged Jamie tight. "I'm sorry we didn't visit you more after your mom died," she said. "We were wrong to stay away." Jamie nodded. "It's okay. I have Aunt Sarah and Uncle Michael now." He said the word uncle carefully, trying it out. Michael smiled when he heard it. "That's right," he said, putting his hand on Jamie's shoulder. "And we have a lot of catching up to do. 10 whole years worth." Sarah watched them, her heart so full it might burst. The day had not gone as she planned. Her perfect wedding had turned into something messy and unexpected. But as she looked at Michael and Jamie talking together, she knew that sometimes the best things in life were the surprises. The band started to play, and Michael stood up. "May I have this dance with my wife?" he asked, holding out his hand to Sarah. "What about me?" Jamie asked. Michael grinned. "You can cut in halfway through. Every good wedding needs a family dance." The wedding party moved to a big room with round tables and bright flowers. Music played while people ate good food and drank wine. Jamie sat at the main table, looking at all the new faces. Most of them were strangers to him. They kept looking at him and smiling, which made him feel both special and strange. A tall man with gray hair came to their table. He was Michael's father, John. He bent down to Jamie's level and smiled. "So, you're the newest member of our family," he said. "That makes me your grandfather. I have 3 other grandchildren, but they're all little. It will be nice to have a big boy around." Jamie wasn't sure what to say. He had never had a grandfather before. His mom had told him that her father and mother, Sarah's parents, were his only grandparents, and they had not visited much. "Do you like baseball?" John asked. Jamie nodded. "I watch it sometimes on TV at Mrs. Patel's house." "Good," John said. "I have season tickets to the home games. You'll have to come with me sometime." Michael watched his father talk to Jamie and felt warm inside. His family had always been loving and open. He knew they would welcome Jamie with open arms. Sarah was talking to her mother at the other end of the table. They spoke in low voices. "Why didn't you tell us Jamie was coming to the wedding?" Sarah asked. "I would have been prepared." Her mother looked down at her hands. "We didn't know he was coming. After the funeral, we visited a few times, but Mrs. Patel said it was too hard for Jamie to see us. We thought it was best to give him space." Sarah sighed. "We all made mistakes, but now we have a chance to do better." Across the room, Jamie had left the table and was looking at the big wedding cake. It had 3 layers and small flowers made of sugar on top. A tiny bride and groom stood on the highest part. A girl about Jamie's age walked up beside him. She had curly red hair and a blue dress. She was Michael's niece, Emma. "Are you really going to live with Uncle Michael and Aunt Sarah?" she asked. Jamie nodded. "They said I am." "That's cool," Emma said. "Uncle Michael is fun. He lets us stay up late and eat ice cream when we visit. Now you get to do that all the time." She studied his face. "Do you miss your mom?" The question surprised Jamie. Most adults didn't ask so directly. They talked around it, or got sad faces when his mom was mentioned. "Yes," he said simply, "all the time." Emma nodded. "I would miss my mom too, but Uncle Michael and Aunt Sarah are nice, and now you're sort of my cousin, so you can come to our family things too." Jamie hadn't thought of that. He would have cousins now, and aunts and uncles and grandparents. His family was growing bigger today, not smaller. The band started playing the slow song. Michael led Sarah to the middle of the floor for their first dance as husband and wife. They looked happy, smiling at each other as they moved in circles. "Look at them," Emma said. "They're so in love. My mom says they've been like that since college." Jamie watched Sarah's face. She was looking at Michael like he was the most important person in the world. He felt a small worry in his stomach. Would there be room for him in their life? Would they still want him when the wedding was over? As if she could hear his thoughts, Sarah looked over at Jamie and smiled. She whispered something to Michael, who nodded. They both walked over to where Jamie stood by the cake. "It's time for that family dance we promised," Michael said, holding out his hand. Jamie looked at the dance floor. "But I don't know how to dance." Sarah laughed. "Neither does Michael, but we do it anyway. Come on." The 3 of them walked to the middle of the floor. Michael showed Jamie how to put one hand on Sarah's waist and hold her other hand. The 3 of them moved in a small circle, Jamie stepping on Michael's feet twice. But Michael just laughed. People around the room watched with smiles and some tears. What had started as a shocking moment in the church was turning into something beautiful. They were seeing a family being born right before their eyes. Emma watched from beside the cake. "See," she said to herself. "I told him they were nice." As the song ended, the photographer asked the 3 of them to pose for a picture. Jamie stood between Sarah and Michael, all of them smiling. It would be the first photo of their new family, taken on the day they all found each other. After the dancing and cake cutting, The wedding party moved outside for more pictures. The sun was starting to set, painting the sky in beautiful colors of orange and pink. Jamie stood with Sarah and Michael for many photos, smiling when told to. His cheeks hurt from smiling so much, but he didn't mind. When the photographer wanted some pictures of just the bride and groom, Jamie stood to the side, watching. Michael's sister came to stand next to him. "I'm Kate, Emma's mom," she said. "So I guess I'm your aunt now too." Jamie nodded, still watching Sarah and Michael pose under a tree with flowers. "It must be a big day for you," Kate said, "meeting so many new people at once." "Yes," Jamie said. "I didn't know Sarah had such a big family now." Mom didn't talk much about her family except sometimes about Sarah. Kate put a gentle hand on his shoulder. "Families can be complicated, but the good thing is they can also grow and change." She looked at Michael and Sarah. "My brother is a good man. He'll be good to you." Jamie had been thinking about that. Would Michael really want him around after today? It was easy to be nice at a wedding with everyone watching. But what about normal days? What if he changes his mind? Jamie asked in a small voice. "What if they don't want me after they go on their honeymoon?" "Honeymoon," Kate corrected gently. "And they won't change their minds. That's not who they are." She looked at Jamie more closely. "Did you know Michael was a teacher?" Jamie shook his head. He didn't know much about Michael at all. "He teaches 5th grade, Kate said. "Just about your age. He loves working with kids. He's been looking forward to having children of his own someday." She smiled. "I think you came along at just the right time." This made Jamie feel a little better. Maybe Michael really did want him around. The photographer was done with Sarah and Michael. They came back to where Jamie was standing. "Are you tired of pictures yet?" Sarah asked him. "Just a few more, I promise." "I'm okay," Jamie said. Then he remembered something. "But I need to tell Mrs. Patel where I am. She might be worried." Sarah's face showed surprise. "Oh, in all the excitement, I didn't think of that. You're right." She looked at Michael. "I should call her." Michael nodded. "Use my phone. I'll take Jamie to get some food. He must be hungry by now." Sarah went off to make the call while Michael led Jamie back to the food table. Jamie picked up a small plate and put some chicken and potatoes on it. "So," Michael said as they found a quiet place to sit, "I hear you met my sister Kate." Jamie nodded, eating a piece of chicken. "She's nice. She said you're a teacher." "That's right," Michael said. "I teach math and science to kids just a little older than you." "I like science," Jamie said. "We did an experiment at school with plants growing in different kinds of light." Michael's face lit up. "That sounds interesting. What did you learn?" For the next few minutes, Jamie told Michael about his science project. Michael asked good questions and seemed really interested. Jamie began to relax a little more. Sarah came back, holding Michael's phone. "I talked to Mrs. Patel. She was worried when you disappeared but is glad you're safe. I told her we'd come by tomorrow to get your things." Jamie stopped eating. "Tomorrow? But aren't you going on your honeymoon?" Sarah and Michael looked at each other. Some kind of message passed between them. "We were planning to leave for our honeymoon tomorrow," Michael said, "but we think it might be better to wait a few weeks. That will give us time to help you get settled in our house first." Jamie's eyes widened. "You're not going because of me?" Sarah sat down next to him. "We're just changing our plans a little. The beach will still be there in a few weeks. Right now, it's more important that we start our life together. All three of us." Jamie felt something warm grow inside his chest. They were changing their plans for him. That meant they really did want him. "Plus," Michael added with a smile, "this gives us time to paint your room whatever color you want. I was thinking blue, but Sarah says we should ask you first." "I like green," Jamie said. "Dark green, like forest trees." "Green it is," Michael said, like it was the most normal thing in the world to be planning a boy's bedroom on his wedding day. The sun had set now, and tiny lights strung around the trees turned on. making everything look magical. Jamie looked at Sarah and Michael talking about paint colors and moving his things, and for the first time since his mother died, he felt like maybe things would be okay. The wedding party went on into the night. Many guests had already left, but close friends and family stayed. The band played slower songs now. Jamie sat at a table with Emma and two other children, cousins from Michael's side. They were playing a card game that Emma had in her purse. Sarah watched from across the room, her wedding dress now a bit wrinkled from the long day. She felt tired but happy. Her mother came to sit beside her. "You did well today," her mother said, "with Jamie and with Michael." Sarah smiled. "I was so afraid Michael would be angry, that he would think I tricked him." "That boy loves you," her mother said, watching Michael talking with his father. "Anyone can see that. And he already seems to care about Jamie too." Sarah nodded. "I should have trusted him more. I should have told him everything from the start." "We all make mistakes," her mother said. "The important thing is what we do after." She looked down at her hands. "Your father and I made mistakes too. With Lisa, and with Jamie after she died. We should have been there more." Sarah put her hand over her mother's. "We can all do better now. For Jamie's sake." Across the room, Michael's father was giving him advice on raising a boy. "Sports are important," John said. "Baseball, basketball, whatever he likes. It teaches teamwork." Michael nodded. Jamie mentioned he liked baseball. "Maybe we could all go to a game sometime." "That's the spirit," John said, patting Michael's back. "And don't worry too much about being perfect. No parent is. Just be there for him. That's what counts." Michael looked over at Jamie playing cards with the other kids. The boy was laughing at something Emma said. It was good to see him relaxing and acting like a normal kid. When Jamie had first burst into the church, he had seemed so small and scared. "I never expected to become a father on my wedding day," Michael said, "but somehow it feels right." Later, as the night grew late, Jamie began to yawn. The excitement of the day was catching up with him. Sarah noticed and came over to the table. "Getting tired?" she asked. Jamie tried to say no, but another yawn gave him away. Emma and the other kids had already left with their parents. "It's been a big day," Sarah said. "Maybe it's time to go home." Jamie looked up at her. "Home? You mean to Mrs. Patel's?" Sarah shook her head. "No, to our home. Michael's apartment. That's where we're staying until our new house is ready next month." She sat down next to Jamie. "We thought you could sleep in the spare room tonight. Tomorrow we'll go get your things from Mrs. Patel's." "Oh," Jamie said, suddenly looking worried. "But I don't have pajamas or my toothbrush." "We can figure that out," Sarah said. "Michael probably has a t-shirt you can sleep in. And we have extra toothbrushes." Michael joined them, loosening his tie. Most of the guests were gone now. The band was packing up their instruments. "Ready to go?" he asked. Sarah nodded. "Jamie's tired, but he's worried about not having his things." Michael smiled at Jamie. "No problem. We can stop at a store on the way if you need anything special, or you can just use my stuff tonight." Jamie looked back and forth between them. "You really want me to come home with you? Tonight? On your wedding night?" Sarah and Michael exchanged looks. In movies and TV shows, wedding nights were supposed to be special and private, but real life was messier. "Of course we want you to come home with us," Michael said. "Where else would you go?" "We're a family now," Sarah added, "and families stick together." Jamie felt warm inside again. He was still sad about his mom, and he still missed her every day. But now he had Sarah and Michael too. He wouldn't be alone. They said goodbye to the last guests and thanked the wedding workers. Then they walked to Michael's car together. Michael carried Sarah's overnight bag in one hand and held Jamie's hand with the other. Sarah walked on Jamie's other side, her wedding dress making soft swishing sounds. In the car, Jamie sat in the back seat. As Michael drove through the dark streets, Sarah turned to look at Jamie. "Are you okay?" she asked. Jamie nodded, feeling sleepy but safe. "I think my mom would be happy," he said quietly. "About today. About you and Michael." Sarah felt tears in her eyes. "I think she would be too." Michael reached over and squeezed Sarah's hand. Their wedding day had not gone as planned. But as they drove home with Jamie falling asleep in the back seat, they knew that sometimes life's surprises turned out to be exactly what you needed. 1 month later, Sarah, Michael, and Jamie stood in front of their new house. It was a pretty blue house with white windows and a small front yard. They had just finished moving in all their things. Boxes were still everywhere inside, waiting to be unpacked. "What do you think?" Michael asked Jamie. "Is it what you expected?" Jamie looked at the house with wide eyes. "It's big," he said. "Bigger than our apartment." Sarah smiled. "Wait until you see your room again. We finished painting it last week." They walked inside together. The living room had a big couch and a TV. The kitchen was bright with new dishes on the counter. But Jamie was most excited to see his room. He ran up the stairs with Sarah and Michael following behind. Jamie's room was at the end of the hall. The door had a sign on it that said, "Jamie's room," in green letters. Jamie pushed the door open and gasped. The walls were dark green, just like he had asked for. There was a new bed with a blue cover. A desk sat under the window with a small lamp. On the walls were posters of baseball players and spaceships. A bookshelf held some of his old books from Mrs. Patel's, plus some new ones. "Do you like it?" Sarah asked nervously. "We can change anything you don't like." Jamie walked around the room slowly, touching things. He opened the closet and saw his clothes hanging neatly. His old stuffed bear that his mother had given him sat on the bed. "It's perfect," he said quietly. "Thank you." Michael put a hand on Jamie's shoulder. "This is your home now. Forever." Jamie nodded, feeling too many emotions to speak. He had been living with Sarah and Michael in their small apartment for a month while they waited for this house to be ready. Every day had brought new surprises. Michael helped him with homework. Sarah taught him how to make pancakes. They watched movies together and went to the park on weekends. It wasn't always easy. Sometimes Jamie woke up crying, missing his mother. Sometimes he got angry for no reason and said mean things. But Sarah and Michael never got too upset. They would talk to him, listen to him, hold him when he needed it. The doorbell rang, breaking Jamie's thoughts. "That must be the others," Sarah said. "They're right on time." They went downstairs and opened the front door. Outside stood Sarah's parents, Michael's parents, and Kate with Emma and her brothers. They all carried food and small gifts. "Welcome to your new home," they called out. It was a housewarming party. Everyone came inside, filling the new house with noise and laughter. They ate pizza and cake. The adults drank wine while the children had soda. Emma showed Jamie a new card game, and they played on the living room floor. Later, when everyone was sitting in the living room, Michael stood up. He held a small box in his hands. "Jamie," he said, "we have something important to ask you." Jamie looked up from his card game, curious. Sarah came to stand next to Michael. She looked nervous but happy. "We've been talking to a lawyer," Michael continued. "And if you want, we would like to adopt you. That would make you our son legally, not just our nephew." Jamie's mouth opened in surprise. "Adopt me? Really?" Sarah knelt down to his level. "Really, but only if you want that. It's your choice." Jamie thought about his mother. He would always love her and miss her. But she had wanted him to be with Sarah. She had wanted him to have a family. "I want that," he said. "I want to be your son." The room erupted in cheers and clapping. Michael opened the small box and took out a silver chain with a round pendant. He put it around Jamie's neck. "This is a Carter family tradition," he explained. "Every child in our family gets one. It has your initials on one side and the date on the other." Jamie looked down at the pendant. It was warm in his hand. On one side were his initials, JWC, Jamie Wilson Carter. On the other side was today's date. "So it's official?" Jamie asked. "I'm part of the family now." "You've been part of the family since the day you ran into our wedding," Sarah said, hugging him tight. "This just makes it official on paper." That night, after everyone had gone home, and the house was quiet, Jamie lay in his new bed. He could hear Sarah and Michael talking softly in the hallway. Their voices sounded happy. Jamie felt happy too. On his wall was a new picture in a frame. It was from the wedding day. Sarah in her white dress, Michael in his suit, and Jamie standing between them. They were all smiling. It was the first picture of their family, but not the last. There would be many more pictures, many more memories to come. As Jamie drifted off to sleep, he thought about how one brave moment, running into that church, had changed everything. His mother had been right to trust Sarah. And now Jamie had not just an aunt and uncle, but a mom and dad who loved him. Sometimes the biggest surprises turned out to be the greatest gifts of all.